Good evening, everybody. We'll be getting started shortly. We're allowing participants to get into the meeting. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. We'll be getting started in about 30 more seconds. Okay, everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone is enjoying this hump day evening. And during hump day, we want to bring you some good news about an enhanced service that we're planning along the Metropolitan Parkway and Cleveland Avenue corridors. We're going to talk tonight about arterial rapid transit along those corridors. And arterial rapid transit will allow us to enhance the service of our riders along those corridors. And we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Erica Pines. I'm in External Affairs at MARTA. Thank you for being here this evening. So we just want to give you a couple of tips as we move through the meeting this evening. Your microphones are muted. If you're viewing from YouTube, of course, you don't have your microphone, but if you're in the Zoom meeting, everyone's microphones are muted. We want you to use the Q&A features for questions and comments. So if you can make yourself acclimated to where that is on your screens, look for the Q&A button and we will pull questions and comments from there. If you're streaming live via the YouTube, you can put questions in the YouTube chat and we will also gather those questions as we move through the evening. So once again, if you're on Zoom, find the Q&A button. That's where we'll be taking comments and questions. If you are viewing from the YouTube live, put those comments in the chat and we will capture those as we move along. If you want to share additional questions and comments after this meeting, you can send us an email to publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. That's publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. And if you are joining us by phone this evening, you can also email us at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com with any questions or comments that you may have. If you have a question that's not related to this project, if you have a service related question, we would like for you to send those questions to our customer service email address. That email address is custserv, that's CUSTSERV @itsmarta.com. Once again, for questions not related to this project, send those to custserv, CUSTSERV @itsmarta.com to give us questions outside of those on this project. And we will try this evening to address as many comments and questions as time allows, and all questions will be addressed after the meeting. So if you send us a question, we will compile those questions and get those back out to you. So we don't want you to think if we didn't address your question tonight that question would go ignored. Thank you. So tonight, you're going to hear from a couple of people about this project. You're going to hear from myself. I'll facilitate the Q&A at the end. You're going to hear from Marcus Arnold, Frank Rucker, Heather Aladeff, Shelley Peart, Jolanda Crane, and our council member that represents the district where these projects are taking place, Council Member Joyce Shepard. You will hear from a City of Atlanta official, Jason Morgan, and Jenny Wang with our project consulting team. Today's agenda, so that you can understand the flow of the program this evening. I am giving you the welcome. I would then bring up our council member, Shepard, for some remarks, and she's going to do a survey with you all. And then we're going to show you a video on the type of service that we're introducing. We know that arterial rapid transit is new for a lot of people, so we will give you a demonstration on what that service looks like. We would also give a background on arterial rapid transit for this project background. And we'll ask for your recommendation. We're going to give you some recommendations and seek your input on the service plan, the station locations, and the station elements. And then towards the end, we'll go into Q&A. Now, without further ado, we're going to bring greetings from Councilmember Shepherd, and she's going to walk you through a couple of exercises. Thank you. Councilmember, you're muted.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. I am so happy to be here this evening for a great project that is going to bring some enhancements to District 12 at Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway. I don't know if people who ride Metropolitan Parkway or Cleveland Avenue, the MARTA Transit, and I want to thank MARTA for what they do for the city of Atlanta. But Metropolitan Parkway in Cleveland is one of my high riderships. And as we looked at our T-Slosh and what we're doing to enhance our capabilities with MARTA in terms of transit and really enhancing things, Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway came to the top of the top of the list of MARTA. So I'm so proud that that's happening in my district on the south side of Atlanta. And so I welcome all folks to participate. These are for folks who ride MARTA, interact with MARTA on a regular basis. We're going to be asking you some questions. It's really important that we have your input. So I'm glad to be here to be a part of this process as we begin to look at the enhancement for our corridors of Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway. So let me just kick it off with a series of questions. And again, I hope they explain to you how you respond, but I will begin with the first question. Do you live near Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway? So I live near Metropolitan Parkway, so my answer to that, of course, is yes. But do you live near Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway? So I think our question now is to take this question and respond to that one particular question. Is that correct, Erica or Jenny? Is that what we're supposed to do?
They can actually respond to all of the questions. They can scroll down.
Okay, so they can just respond to all of them.
Yes, okay. And also for the people that are watching from YouTube, we're dropping the survey link in the YouTube comments throughout the presentation. So they may get all the questions at the same time, but we will capture all responses. Thank you.
Okay, so the first one again is, do you live near Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway? Do you work or go to school near Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway? The third question is, do you shop or visit business places near Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway? Businesses along the corridor of Cleveland Avenue or Metropolitan Parkway. And of course, any other reasons that you're visiting Metropolitan Parkway, we would like to hear about that. So at this point, should we stop at that point and just stop here? Is that what I think that's what I'm supposed to do. Oh yeah, shopping. So do you shop? Also, do you shop? Do you shop at for MARTA? Do you go to shopping? I see a lot of people in my neighborhood going to grocery stores and actually riding MARTA back and forth to grocery stores and stores. And so we should choose the statement that best describes your transit usage. And do you ride MARTA to work or to school? Ride MARTA to shopping or other places? I rarely or never ride MARTA. So use all of those as a way to answer those questions, please.
Okay, it looks like the polls, the results are up. Thank you, Council Member, for facilitating the poll. Going down the list, you can see the live results on your screen. It looks like a majority, most of you guys live along the corridor, so thank you for participating. Some of you guys go to work or go to school near the corridor. Moving down, looks like a majority of you guys take MARTA to work or school along the corridor. So you guys, majority of you guys are MARTA riders. And on question 3, it looks like most of you guys heard about this meeting through email from MARTA. So thank you for your input, and we'll continue with the presentation.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Councilmember Shepherd and Jenny. Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining this evening. I guess we'll go into the ART video at this time.
So a number of us are here in Los Angeles, a city well known for its car congestion, exploring one of the largest expansions of mass transit in the country.
And we have 6 or 7 of Atlanta City Council people here really trying to learn and educate themselves so they can better represent their constituents back home.
This is a great example of what we've been calling arterial rapid transit. LA Metro has branded it the Rapid. These will be the red buses that we see going by. Limited stop. Those buses have signal prioritization so they can move faster, not getting stuck as much traffic. It's got announcement when the bus is coming, how far away it is, better amenities, and then the local buses use it as well. So no exclusive lane, not its own lane, but we've got great amenities here. It's shaded, well shaded. We've got information about when the next bus will arrive, good maps to show how this route fits into the system. Already have your card like we have. We would just get on and tap.
The goal is to make more people ride the bus as opposed to cars. And we want to move them quickly and fast so that people can get from point A to point B quicker in terms of jobs or whatever they need to do.
So here's a great example. The bus comes up, all the doors are opening, and customers who have already have a fare meter can just walk on any door. I got my fare, I can just walk on and I'm going to tap. And here we go. And passengers who need to pay will go on the front door and pay using the fare box. It makes the trip faster and more convenient and gets people on and off the buses quicker. So just good bus amenities, and we in Atlanta are calling that arterial rapid transit. Here they branded it the Rapid.
It was very dependable, the bus shelters. You could read and tell what time it was coming. It was 1 minute or 2 minutes on the way. So it was very helpful in us being able to see the example. So looking forward to what we can do in Atlanta.
I think that I've gathered a lot so that we can go back and support MARTA and its efforts so that we can move more Atlantans more effectively through our city.
All right, well, hope you all were able to get a good taste of what what we're looking for the ART project. My name is Marcus Arnold, and I'm the project manager with MARTA for the ART projects for Cleveland and Metropolitan Parkway. And I'd like to just give you all some background on the project to start off with. So what we've been working on is really collecting a lot of information, a lot of data related to existing land use and demographics around the study area. And really, this is helping us to identify and drill down to the transit needs. So this slide gives some key indicators of transit needs in the study area along Metropolitan Parkway and Cleveland Avenue. And in particular, really understanding that riders are looking for more transit, more enhanced transit, and needed to access jobs as well as other services throughout the corridor. We also took a look at the existing ridership. So we're looking at both these corridors, and the Route 78 and the Route 95 currently serve these corridors with local bus service. And together roughly provide about 6,000 daily riders combining both of the routes. So these are high ridership routes within the MARTA service area, and really want to understand a lot of the ridership characteristics. So you can see in the map on this slide, the orange dots represent the current bus stops that have a lot of ridership activity on both the routes 70, 78, and 95. Just wanted to better understand and look at some of the key ridership as well as the key generators within the corridors. So a little bit about the project history. The ART projects are part of and funded by the More MARTA Atlanta Halfpenny Sales Tax. And were identified as some early action item projects that definitely had a need for enhanced service, but also too, were identified for ART, which is more of a short-term solution to providing enhancements along these corridors. So Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway are the first of the ART corridors that are being studied currently, and are currently going through the planning and early design phases of the projects. So what is Arterial Rapid Transit, or ART? And really it's providing enhanced bus service. And the goal is to provide fast, frequent, and reliable service for the existing service improvements. Also too, there are other enhancements that are included as well. As you saw in the video, and as part of this project, we're looking at upgraded station amenities, as well as other improvements to help provide efficiencies to the service along the corridors. Some of the ART features that we've identified for this project is wanting to make sure that there's all-day frequent service. So we're looking at 15-minute service all day. Also transit signal priority. And what that is essentially is to help transit vehicles as they approach intersections be able to efficiently get a signal preemption to get through existing signal and continue to increase efficiency with the service. Also, limited stop service. So we'll talk a little bit about this more later, but really want to identify high ridership locations for ART stations, as well as enhancements. So everything's from shelters to seating, real-time arrival information, as well as other pedestrian connectivity that's needed at the station locations.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Marcus. Good evening, everybody. And we'll pause here to get your input on these key ART features just presented to you by Marcus. We want to know, what is the most improved transit in your community? You'll see the poll pop up in your screen. A, faster service. B, frequent service. C, more reliable service. D, stops located at key destinations. E, enhanced amenities at stations. Now, if you don't see a characteristic here that is important to you, please tell us in the Q&A. And if you're streaming live, you can also participate by clicking in the YouTube, in the link provided to you in the YouTube comments. Or if you're calling in, you can type in the URL that you see on the screen. It's tiny.cc/ART survey. And you'll see that we're on question number 4. And you can always take the survey after the meeting. Okay, here are the results. It looks like the results are, it's split. It's like you guys want to see faster service, frequent, reliable, you want to see it all, including enhanced amenities at stations. So thank you for your valuable input, and we'll continue with the presentation.
Great, thank you, Jenny. So now we wanted to go over proposed ART service plans for both Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway. And to start, really want to just give you all an overview of it. As we mentioned, we're planning for an opening year of 2024, and this would be the first ART in the Atlanta region, and we're really excited about that. And again, all-day frequent service is the key to really serve the transit needs in these corridors. We've identified proposed service that would serve about 90% of existing riders on the existing local bus service, 20% travel time savings as well, with some of the enhancements and the features of ART. And we believe this will increase service efficiency as a whole, as well as cost effectiveness of the investment for these transit improvements. So for Cleveland Avenue ART, this map displays the dashed blue line is the current Route 78 along Cleveland Avenue. And we're recommending to continue the existing routing, similar routing pattern as the Route 78. As you can see, it will continue down Cleveland Avenue. Will still serve the Browns Mill Loop, and that's what we're identifying in the interim, and still looking at some other turnaround options in the area. But this would kind of mirror what the 78 is doing currently. We're proposing 14 ART station locations in the white dots. These would include stations on both sides of the roadway, so you can access it going both eastbound and westbound. And to serve key destinations, Kroger, Walmart, Wellstar, Roosevelt Fan, Rec Center, and some of the other key destinations that we're looking to serve on Cleveland Avenue. With some of the improvements, we're estimating about a 8 minutes round trip time over the Route 78. So definitely some efficiencies to get you from point A to point B along this corridor. Metropolitan Parkway ART, in the dash blue is the Route 95 currently that's operated on Metropolitan Parkway. And this would run between West End and to Cleveland Avenue at Springdale Road. The key to this recommendation is that a good majority of the ridership along the Route 95 is on the northern end of Metropolitan Parkway, north of Cleveland. And so there's also a need to access some of these key direct service locations for Kroger and Walmart along Cleveland. So there's an opportunity to provide a one-seat ride along Metropolitan to some of these key destinations. We are also recommending that continued local service south of Cleveland Avenue along Metropolitan and Dogwood Drive to Hateville will continue. This will include 15 proposed ART stations, 2 shared stations with the Cleveland Avenue ART. And this would also include stations on both sides of the roadway for access for northbound and southbound travel. It also would serve key destinations, including the Met, the Atlanta Technical College and Atlanta Metropolitan State College, as well as a new police precinct 3 and Kroger and Walmart, as I mentioned before, as part of this service. And we're estimating about a 10-minute round trips travel time savings compared to the Route 95 with this ART service. So our next step is wanting to start to identify actual ART station locations. And so we developed a series of criteria to help us identify potential station locations. The first criteria is ridership. And as I presented earlier, we really looked at ridership at a stop level to really understand higher ridership stops. We consider, at least 25 or more daily riders that are at the existing local bus stops. Also station spacing. And so with ART, the key to the efficiency is to try to achieve between a 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile station spacing. So spacing between each station. And also, this may, compared to local service, in order to access ART, may require an additional 3-minute walk for less than 25% of the ridership. So for the most part, most of the higher activity stops would be served by a new enhanced ART station. Land use, so really factoring in the current destinations, but also to future destinations, senior facilities and other key destinations to be served by ART. And then constructability is really, making sure we minimize, avoid any impacts to, adjacent properties and be able to construct and build new stations where within the existing right-of-way as well. So this is just a concept and provides some amenities. And a lot of these amenities, again, were on display in the video that we showed earlier in the meeting. But wanted just to highlight some of these key concepts and amenities that we're looking for. So I think with that, I'll pass it to Jenny to provide, I guess, our last polling question.
Actually not our last, it's the second to last, but that's okay. So, okay, we'll take a, we'll pause here and, time for our second, or I guess our fifth polling question. We want to get your input on these planned station amenities as Marcus just went over them. We want you to tell us which amenities are the most important to you. And we would like for you to select 2 this time. And as with before, if you don't see an amenity here, please tell us in the Q&A, and we'll be sure to consider them as we continue to refine the station design. And again, if you're on YouTube, you can also answer this question by clicking on the survey link provided in the comments, or use the URL shown on the screen if you're calling in, and you'll see that we're on question number 5. Okay, the results are in, and out of the station amenities that MARTA is currently considering for ART, it looks like a large majority of you feel like real-time bus arrival technology is important. This will be a new technology that we would deploy in the Atlanta region. You've seen some of these at rail stations, but this would be the first for at a bus station. Not surprisingly, shelters, a large ART, we're envisioning in a much larger enhanced shelters. Feel that is just as important as the real-time bus arrival. It's like many of you felt like branding and signage will be using, this service is not going to be called, likely not going to be called ART or ART. MARTA is currently working on the branding, the right name, and sort of the right color, what have you, so that the service will be recognizable as MARTA deploys more of this service around its region. So thank you for your valuable input, and we'll continue on with the presentation.
So just wanted to highlight some more examples of ART stations. And again, Jenny just mentioned, these are some of the elements specifically that we're looking for implementing in for this ART service for Cleveland and Metropolitan. So you can see, again, the examples of the shelters, get a sense of the scale and the footprint of the shelters, as well as branding, real-time information as well, just to give additional examples of what the ART stations would look like. So the proposed ART station for Cleveland Avenue, this map initially shows the ridership for the local Route 78, just to give you, again, a refresher on the ridership activity along the existing route. And as I mentioned earlier, we're looking at 14 station pairs on each side of the roadway. For the most part, in white is what we're proposing for ART stations. And so you can see, as we mentioned the criteria earlier, ridership is a key component, but also making sure we ensure a quarter mile to half a mile spacing in between stations to continue to promote travel time savings and efficiency, as well as other means to serve major activity centers, as well as reduce any impacts to any existing land uses. And this the orange line again shows the ART service, with the white dots are the stations. So we have the stations listed to the left, as well as the station locations on the map.
Yeah, Marcus, if you don't mind, I'd like to add, these are proposed station locations. Please, tell us, we don't have a question to ask about particular stations given the time, but we'd like to know if we missed anything. If any thoughts on these station locations, please tell us in the Q&A. And later on, we'll also share a project site where you can look at the stations and review other information in more detail to provide additional feedback. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Jenny. So for the proposed ART stations for Metropolitan Parkway, again, the orange dots represent the ridership activity, high ridership stops on the Route 95. And we're proposing 15 station pairs. As you mentioned, 2 of those station pairs would be on Cleveland Avenue as well, would be shared with the Cleveland Avenue ART. But again, the white dots are the proposed station locations, and which are listed as well as presented on the map. And again, any input you all have is greatly appreciated to make sure we're addressing the needs from your viewpoint. And the green is just the actual route with the station locations.
Marcus, can we keep this up for a second? Let's go back to that one so that people can process that, please.
And again, that's from West End on the north, going southbound on Metropolitan Parkway, and then turning west along Cleveland. And so, and the opposite direction, going back eastbound and then northbound on Metropolitan.
Okay, thank you.
So we just want to spend a little bit of time to discuss access versus travel time. And we understand this graphic shows on the left the map of the existing local stops for the Route 95 and the Deer Park neighborhood area of the corridor. And so you can see the number of white dots or stops, local stops, compared to what we're proposing for the ART stations currently. And again, this has a lot to do again with all the various criteria that we've identified to help identify and achieve the travel time savings. But we're looking at about 50% of the existing stops to be upgraded to ART stations. And again, we feel these are the major higher ridership activity station stops currently that would be stations. And would require, or could require, I'm sorry, an additional 3-minute walk. We've estimated about 25% of existing riders maybe have to walk an additional 3 minutes to access an ART station, but the majority, 75% of the riders would have ART currently at the stop that they normally access. But again, this is to provide a 20% faster trip. And we understand that travel time is key to get to and from your origin and your destination. So definitely want to keep that in mind, and we definitely want to hear from you and get some input on this. So this is our last polling question related to access versus travel time.
Yep, thank you, Marcus. So when thinking about the trade-offs that Marcus just described between walking to your bus stop and the overall travel time to your final destination, we want to know what you prefer. So A, you want to have more stops along a bus route, even if it means the overall travel time is much longer. Or B, would you rather have faster travel time, even if there are less stops along the bus route? And again, if you're on YouTube, you can use the survey link posted on the comments. Or if you're calling in, you can type in the URL on the screen, which is tiny.cc/ART survey. And we're on question 6. And here are the results. It looks like 82%. So a big majority of you would rather see, overall faster travel time, even with if you have less access to bus stops. So this is very important input as we further advance our project. So we really do appreciate your feedback tonight. And I will turn it back over to you, Marcus. He'll review the schedule and we'll wrap up tonight's presentation with the Q&A. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Jenny. So our schedule for the ART projects we're currently in preliminary engineering. So we've been conducting quite a bit of planning to really understand the transit needs, collecting a lot of the existing conditions information that help provide more information to identify some of the proposed service plans, as well as the proposed station locations that we presented this evening. Preliminary engineering is really looking at developing some conceptual design for the stations, as well as cost estimates for the stations. We are looking to wrap that up towards the end of this year and anticipate final design starting in the fall timeframe of 2021, with construction in 2023 and ART service beginning in 2024. So some next steps moving forward. Again, we want to be able to confirm the proposed ART service and station locations, and this is a valuable input for us to present this information to you all this evening and continue to gather and obtain feedback regarding what we proposed this evening. Also to continuing ongoing coordination with stakeholders, advancing the station design, as well as developing some cost estimates as well. So this is a key point in the project, and we really appreciate any input anyone has regarding some of the proposed information that we presented. Again, you can find additional information. You can provide feedback, and please share this information with others who weren't able to attend. But everything related to the project information, as well as the survey, can be found on this link, tiny.cc/ART MARTA. And please follow us as well on social media to get more information regarding the project and share your thoughts as well. And so I guess with that, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Erica to get us started on the Q&A session.
All right. I hope everyone learned a lot and enjoyed this session. And just let me remind everyone that you can email us questions and we will respond to every inquiry that we receive. You can email us at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. That's publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. If you have a non-ART project related question, you can send those to customer service at custserve@itsmarta.com. That's CUSTSERV@itsmarta.com. And the website for this project is tiny.cc/ART MARTA. So without further ado, we'll get into the Q&A. And I'll ask the question, and Marcus, I guess you can answer or just pass it on to another panelist, okay?
All right, sounds good. Okay,
good deal. The first question we have is, will there be new bus routes or service changes along these routes?
What we're recommending is enhancements to the existing bus routes. So as we presented, it would be enhancements to the local bus routes to Route 78 and 95 on these corridors as part of the ART service.
Okay, thank you. Next question. What is the difference between ART, BRT, and the streetcar?
Okay. ART is essentially, it's similar to BRT, but we're anticipating using the existing bus fleet. It would not include any dedicated transit lanes. It would be within the existing roadway with traffic, similar to the local service, but it would include some enhancements related to transit signal priority, and the stations are somewhat similar to BRT, but maybe at a smaller scale than you'll see in some other BRT. As far as streetcar is a rail technology, provides similar types of services, but normally you'll see streetcar be implemented for more shorter trips and more local circulation compared to ART and BRT. Jenny, I don't know if you had any further.
Sure, I can add to that. I think this is a great question because as in the professionals, we throw these acronyms out all the time and people, ART, BRT, ABC, what are we talking about? So I think really simply put you guys have seen, I'm sure most of you guys have seen the streetcar. You've been in downtown Atlanta near Centennial Olympic Park. That's the rail, the rail that travels along that area is powered by electricity from an overhead catenary. So that's the streetcar. Now BRT and ART are very similar. They're both considered, high quality bus service that provides, faster, more frequent, reliable trips over the traditional local bus that MARTA has today. But I think that most of us in the industry would agree that the biggest difference between ART and BRT is the use of exclusive or dedicated lanes for the vehicle. So for a system to be typically called a BRT, they require buses to operate in its own dedicated lane, which allows for a higher level of service and faster service than what we're calling ART today. And MARTA is currently designing the region's first, BRT. Some of you may know this, BRT in the Summer Hill neighborhood and along Georgia 400, which is a freeway BRT. So.
Okay, and Jenny, since you're talking about the difference between ART and BRT, for these corridors, why was ART chosen over BRT for this corridor?
Right, and I think and council member went over this briefly, why, earlier on, why Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan were chosen. And I think the short answer would be that MARTA really wants to and can bring ART online much quicker and with less cost than the BRT. So as I said earlier, for BRT, the dedicated lane is, it comes with a lot of benefits, but also comes with a lot of impacts, like taking away a lane or acquiring properties. So what MARTA is trying to do with ART is provide enhanced service without the big impact and the longer time frame. So, as Marcus mentioned, we think that, making the buses making fewer stops with, signal priority, with the buses being able to catch the green more frequently, it could really allow you to, save up to 20% of the travel time. And that's huge for it's just limited amount of features. So.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add into that with the BRT versus ART? I think a lot of it also is high ridership. BRT, correct me if I'm wrong, is a very high ridership, which actually validates a dedicated lane. So that's a huge high ridership. The ART is a really significant ridership, but not as much as a high ridership. Am I correct in terms of that also?
That is correct, Councilmember. That's an excellent answer. Yes. So like when MARTA looks at these, these corridors, the level of sort of the demand or ridership needs to, the improvements needs to be warranted by the level of ridership. So some of the corridors that are considered for BRT or LRT, they may have much higher ridership today than Cleveland and Metropolitan. Like Campbellton, for example, has over 5,000, almost 6,000 daily ridership. So that, that corridor has been designated as a, high capacity corridor. So you're absolutely right in that.
Okay. And are there any other cities in the area? I know we showed the video from LA, from Los Angeles. Are there any other cities in this region that have ART?
I could take this one and I'll pass it over to you for anyone else. But as we mentioned, ART MARTA is planning, this is really exciting because, the first ART in the region is being planned for Cleveland and Metropolitan, but there are a lot of other cities and counties. They understand the benefits of this service with, providing high benefits and low costs. So there isn't any, at least in the Atlanta area or even the state of Georgia, that has ART. But we are anticipating that, as we successfully roll out, the ART service in Cleveland Metropolitan, there is going to be, many new ART services in the region. And eventually that will create, because this is sort of the dream, right? You could have the one service sort of outlying service by itself, or the dream, I guess, if you're a transit geek, is you want to create a network of fast, frequent service so that you could better connect people to their jobs and other destinations. So that's ultimately the goal, is to have a network of ART service. But no, currently there isn't any ART service today.
Okay, and I'm getting several questions about providing additional feedback and where can they learn more. So I'm going to repeat this really quick and we'll go on to the other questions. If you want to provide feedback, please send us an email at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. That's publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. If you have questions that are not related to these projects, send those to customer service at serve@itsmarta.com. And there is a project site. That site address is tiny.cc/ArtMarta. That's tiny.cc/ArtMarta. And I'm going to have the folks that are monitoring our YouTube to drop that link into the YouTube comments also. And this presentation will stay up on our MARTA YouTube site. So you can come back to the site. We did get a question about that. If you just go to our YouTube channel, this presentation will be up if you want to share it with other people. So I'm going to move to the next question. How would this project impact my property and business if I live in this area?
Well, we don't anticipate any impacts related to ART as relates to properties. Again, ART would be within existing right-of-way, existing roadway primarily, and we've intentionally looked at the feasibility of station locations and making sure it doesn't have any negative impact. But we're looking just for a positive impact to get customers and other folks to and from properties quicker and more efficient, as well as workers.
Okay. Will the Cleveland Avenue and Metropolitan Parkway projects be done around the same time?
Yes, they are being implemented on the same schedule. So we're anticipating them both to be open at the same time in 2024, and currently are on the same path as far as implementation phasing of the projects. All
right. The next question, it kind of combines this project and some other enhancements. The question is, previously Metropolitan Parkway has a number of mid-block pedestrian crosswalks that connected bus routes on either side of the roadway. The most recent repaving eliminated a lot of those. Could this project bring those back?
Well, again, we're focusing on primarily the stations and direct access to the stations. I know those are the ART for Cleveland is running along a right away that's within the city of Atlanta and East Point, with Metropolitan being a GDOT right away. So we definitely want to make sure we're coordinated as far as our recommended improvements. I know, Jenny, I don't know if you had any thoughts as far as we talked about sidewalk needs and improvements as part of this early design phase. I don't know if you
Right, and I would also invite maybe Jason Morgan from the city if he has any comments, but I will add that as part of this process, our goal is to make sure the proposed ART stations have all the sort of the pedestrian and ADA connections necessary to have the riders access the stations safely. The mid-block crossing is kind of it's one of those things that could have safety concerns. I do know that GDOT has been out along Metropolitan lately, and there's a number of new pedestrian crosswalks and beacons that are being implemented now. You'll know that if you live in the corridor, I'm sure you've seen some of the constructions. So, the short answer is that I don't think that we're necessarily bringing back any mid-block crossing unless, the city may have other improvements. But as part of this process, our job is to really make sure the ART stations the proposed stations, which are currently at most of at intersections. We are not envisioning any stations at mid-block as of now. So I don't know if Jason, you have anything to add from the city's perspective?
Jenny and Marcus, I think you covered it pretty well. I think ultimately that may be something we'll need to revisit with GDOT. And I think primarily due to the safety concerns that I think have been raised, but specifically as it relates to the ART, because as you mentioned, Jenny and Marcus, these stations are primarily going to be located closer to intersections, so that so crossings could more easily probably be handled in those cases within the context of that of those intersections. But I think the comment raises an important concern that I think we are going to have to ultimately go back and take a closer look at, and that's something that we can work on with MARTA in coordination with GDOT.
I will add just one more
Can I insert something, Jenny? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I always like to take this as an opportunity to educate community residents as we talk about Metropolitan Parkway, for people to know that even though that is a street, that is actually a highway. That's actually it's a state highway. So typically everything that happens on Metropolitan Parkway, I think it's even a federal highway also, Jason, I'm not sure, but I think it's a federal and state highway. So that happened way before we had the expressways. This was how people got back and forth. That's why it's a highway. As a result of that, the huge responsibility of what happens on Metropolitan Parkway is not necessarily with the city of Atlanta, with the state. So a lot of things that we see happening in terms of Metropolitan Parkway, just as Jason was talking about, I've been working with them in terms of enhancing the lighting and the beacons and all of that. And that was some things that we got done as a collaboration with the city and the state. But I just want residents to know that sometime when you're complaining, it's not always city. Metropolitan Parkway is actually a state highway. And we can't, even the city can't do anything in terms of changing anything on Metropolitan Parkway unless we go through the state, because the state owns that street. Just want to let y'all know that.
Thank you, Council Member, for that clarity. I know you run into that a lot. Okay, another question we have, will the cost point remain the same or will it increase? And I think this is in relation to existing service.
No, I mean, we're anticipating similar to existing bus and rail, and I'm assuming this is related to the fare to use the service.
Yes, the fare to use the service. Yes,
we're anticipating that there wouldn't be a change specifically related to the ART. It would be the same fare.
Okay, and another question is, would the stations or stops not proposed to be updated to ART stations be eliminated entirely from the route?
Currently, we're not planning for elimination of stops. We're actually doing some coordination related to the existing local bus service and opportunities for some consolidation of underutilized stops. But we do want to use this as an input as we talked about access versus travel time to really understand the importance and the need and the usage for ART and ways we can efficiently operate the service along these corridors with the new ART service.
Okay. Another question, it's kind of a comment and a question. To prevent glass smashing, can some shelters be made from plexiglass for safety measures temporary? And will there be security cameras in the stations?
Yeah, so I don't think right now, as of now, security cameras aren't part of the station amenities that are considered for ART, but please, give us more input. If you feel like, security, safety is an issue here, at least or perceived security or safety, please let us know. But, we are considering a lot of different materials. We want to make sure the material is sustainable, that it's, that it's vandalism proof. I mean, there are a number of things that, is it, mass produced, easily repairable. There are many considerations in coming up with, coming up with the shelter and the design and the material. And MARTA is currently still evaluating the type of shelter and the material. As you saw earlier, the concept that we showed, I mean, it's a nice shelter, but MARTA has not made a decision on the shelter as of yet. But the things that you mentioned, it will definitely be in consideration.
Thank you. The next question is about the size of the buses. It's saying, will these be 60-foot buses? And I'm just going to add to that, do we know what size buses we're going to have along this route?
As of now, as Marcus mentioned, we are not planning on using different buses. So different bus vehicles, they may be wrapped. So maybe using the current 40-footers, but they may be wrapped with a different branding. Maybe it's red, yellow. We don't know yet, but no, as of now, as ridership increases along the corridor, because we're providing faster, more reliable service, there may be a need, particularly along Cleveland, to provide buses that are articulated or larger. But that would be that would depend on the demand that is that gets generated at a later time.
Okay, and that seems to be all of the questions. I'm just going to state again, and then we'll wrap up with some remarks from our council member. If you have questions, please send those to publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. If you have questions about this project, please send those to publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. If you have questions or comments unrelated to this project, send those to customer service at custserve@itsmarta.com. I'm going to ask that we drop the link for the project site into the comment box on YouTube. If you have comments, or if you want to see this see this presentation, the presentation will live on our MARTA YouTube channel. We had someone saying they wanted to show it to their MPU or neighborhood association. You can copy the link and send it out to them. It does take us about 24 to 48 hours for these presentations to upload to the channel. If you would like a copy of this presentation, email us at publichearinginfo@itsmarta.com. And the website for the project, again, is tiny.cc/ART MARTA. That's tiny.cc/ART MARTA. We're going to wrap it up because we're coming upon 6:30. I want to thank the panelists, thank everyone who joined us this evening. And without further ado, we'll have our council member just give us some closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all the panelists, everybody that was involved. This has been great information. I have learned something tonight myself that I didn't know. So this is great. I really do want to look forward to putting this out in the community more because it's really important. So, and I believe we have another one coming up on this coming Friday. Erica, can you give us some information?
Yes, Malika, it's Friday at 10:30, correct? I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Yes.
Okay, so what we wanted to do when we went to the public, we wanted to allow everyone to be able to view this presentation and participate. So we decided on a weeknight session and a weekday session. So if you know someone that wants to attend the session on Friday, it's Friday at 10:30. They would need to register because there will be another Zoom link for it, or they can just go to our website and click the link at the top of our webpage. That's itsmarta.com to view it live on YouTube. And once again, these presentations will live on our YouTube channel. Give us about 24 to 48 hours. That's not a MARTA thing. That's a YouTube thing. When they upload it, just tonight, don't get upset with us if you can't access the site, but it will upload. We promise you that. And I just want to say thank you guys for participating.
Erica, can I ask you, this is Councilman Shepherd. I want to ask you one other question. After we finish these two sessions, what are the next steps? I know you have to go into, you're looking, getting input, and then you're going into planning. So at some point, will you be coming back to the community for more engagement? So can you explain that?
Yes, Jenny, do you want to go through the next steps?
Yeah. So we're wrapping up currently what we're calling early design. So we're going to take the input we got today and we'll hopefully be getting in the next couple of weeks on the station, the locations and the design. And then in the summer, we'll be entering what we're calling final design. So at that point, we will be coming back to get more input from the community, make sure, the final design reflects what we heard from you all today. And there will be many other engagement as part of, maybe not for this project, but as part of the bigger, what they're calling roadshow. There you'll be hearing from MARTA now that the project is, progressing and out of planning. So that, sorry for the long answer, but yes, short answer is yes, you'll hear from us.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I think I hear a lot of leaders and folks, and I'm going to be making sure I try to get more people on Friday morning, also at 10:30. I think we had a nice little crowd tonight, but again, I just don't want anybody in our community to miss this opportunity. At some point, I would love to know if the folks here are actually, well, they did say either they were riders or they just community leaders. But I just want to make sure we get the word out. I'm excited about the fact that this is another project that, again, hopefully will be happening and be complete by 2024. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great project and we're looking forward to it. So without further ado, good night. Thank y'all.